New Destiny Center Church, and I am with the Future Fire Youth Department. We have a new segment starting for you guys called The Royalty. We have so many various topics that we want you guys to come on and join us at the Royal Table while we discuss these things. Stay tuned as we go forth.
Yeah. First of all, I confess I'm a kingdom resident and not here as a guest. I don't change for the press, I just say it with my chest. Too much, say less. My mind's at rest, and because of Jesus, I have been blessed.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? I am Jocelyn, and we are a part of New Destiny Center's Future Fire Youth Department. We are doing a new segment called The Royalty, and we will be dealing with mental health awareness because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we have a special guest here today, Dr. Monique Tucker, who is going to kind of assist us, give us any advice as to what we would need dealing with those mental health issues. If you have any questions concerning this topic, we do have an email that you guys can reach out to us at. It's ndccfuturefire@yahoo.com. If you have any questions or even want to be a part of this segment, please shoot us a request or email. So guys, we all know this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Let's talk a little bit about what does mental health mean to us?
Mental health means to me emotional health.
Emotional health.
Yes.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
Mental health, it means a lot of things to me,
Yeah.
but it really depends, because a lot of people say mental health in like a negative context.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this generation has made it like a negative thing. Instead of trying to heal through the mental health issues, they kind of just sugarcoat the issues. And I think that's why mental health is such a taboo in our culture right now. To me, mental health is basically figuring out what it is that you need to do in order to think clearly, to be productive in this world and not be harmful as an individual or to anybody else.
I just want to say mental health, I think some people have a lot of issues with just that word mental, because they were like, oh, we got a problem. No, it's just, that's why I said it's just right. Emotional health, that's better than mental illness or mental health.
Yeah, so it is exactly what we were saying. It's emotional, it's psychological, it's your well-being, right? So it's your emotional, psychological, and your well-being, and that's just kind of what mental health is. And it's your social well-being as well, just because how we interact socially, right? And like you were saying, psychologically, it is a lot of stigma behind the mental health. And the reason why it's not just this generation, it is generations before us who stigmatize going to see a professional, because especially when we're talking from the African American culture and community, we have been taught that seeking help, right, is a form of being crazy. And also, that whatever we do in this house needs to stay in this house, right? You don't go outside and tell other people, right? And so that's the stigma behind it, and which has really caused us to globally to have so many psychological issues, because we are holding everything in, because we don't want to talk about it. And I know y'all generation do that, right? Y'all hold a lot of different things in, based on what other people may think and feel.
Social media also
Plays a big part, right?
Yeah.
So speak a little bit more about when you say social media.
When I say social media, today's generation, it's they hide their feelings and everything. What somebody else might think, and they cover up. If you got an illness or something, they were like, no, because somebody will bash them for it.
Yeah.
And make them feel like you're crazy or you need to get help and stuff. And a lot of that is bullying, leads to other stuff, depression, anxiety, and all that.
I did notice during this quarantine period, I did see a lot more people speaking on the fact that they were struggling with mental health during that time. And that made it more comfortable for me to really dig deep, because those few days during those quarantine, it was kind of tough. You really got to sit with yourself and deal with yourself. And that's tough.
Yeah.
So it made it more like welcoming for me to even come within myself and to dig deeper and figure out like what it is that I'm going through.
Yeah. In quarantine, make me sit down and look at myself as an individual, because I'm like, oh, I gotta work, I gotta do something, I can keep myself busy, but sometimes I just have to sit and get my thoughts together and everything. So, yeah. I think if you focus on yourself and who are you as a person, individual, you good. You don't have to worry about what the outsiders or what others might think about you.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's interesting in what you're saying, like focus on yourself and you're good. I think the problem is we don't focus on ourselves, right? Because we do feel like we have some problems.
Yeah.
And when you saying like, oh, if you just focus on yourself, you know, people like, yeah, myself is totally messed up, right?
Okay.
So Jocelyn only had a couple of days of quarantine. Right. She said like, for those couple of days I quarantined, I mean, everybody else was quarantined, right? For the whole 2020, Jocelyn had a couple of days.
I mean,
for the rest of us who had all these butts,
Right.
like sitting with yourself really to hear like, you know, like who am I and what am I supposed to be doing and should I be doing something different? Right. And because I'm sitting in the house, shouldn't I know what to do, or you know? So all these things are, you know, and like you said, and then just the go-to thing is the social media, right? Absolutely. So everybody on social media, if you don't like something, you know, it's kind of crazy. I don't know the terms that y'all use per person, but I do know like it's like you gotta like it. If you don't like it, it's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think that if you, when you're saying sitting with yourself, that is most important. Mm-hmm. But it's really, you got to be vulnerable with yourself. What are my issues?
You got to be
right.
Open.
And am I having, you know, anxiety? Am I feeling depressed? Right. Why am I feeling depressed? What is going on within me? And that's the things that we don't deal with because we feel like you're saying, that we do. And we do try to express it to somebody, they will try to like, oh, there's something wrong with you because of this, because of that. Right. Don't necessarily mean that something is wrong with you in a negative way, in a bad way. But if you are having those things, it is. It's just like expressing my stomach been hurting all the time.
Right.
And so that's okay to tell you like, oh, I just been getting these stomach pains, and then first thing you say, well, girl, if it's been too much, you need to go to the doctor. Right. But if you say that I have not been sleeping for, you know, they're like, why you been sleeping? Oh, because you worry too much. That's just crazy because I wouldn't worry about that. Right. But nobody says that you need to go to the doctor. You need to go see somebody. You need to go see a specialist.
You need to go talk to somebody.
Exactly. Nobody says that. Absolutely.
Says that. And not in this generation either.
Mm-hmm. Just like to piggyback on what you said. So like, a lot of people would like think it's mental health. They're like, okay, yeah, you gotta take care of what's up there, but like, it's a lot of things you gotta do physically too. Even if it's just as small as like go into the kitchen and get a cup of water, just to take care of yourself. Even people like have trouble showering every day, but just taking care of themselves, and like even little things like that. It just has a lot to do with it because you start comparing yourself to other people who do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's part of depression.
I have a question. Are drugs or therapy better for mental health conditions? What you think?
You mean like psychiatric drugs?
Yes.
I honestly would say that I feel like it depends on the case. Like if a person is to the point where they might need medication or might need to even go into an in-person treatment, like if that's what they need, then I think they should do that. I don't think it's a better, I think it just depends on what that person needs or what they require.
Right. What you think?
So definitely it depends on the case, right? When you're saying is drugs or therapy better, sometimes you need both. Right. Sometimes you can just have therapy without the medication. Therapy is necessary though when you are going through any mental health challenges. Also, just not medication by itself, right? Medication by itself can possibly work. However, if you are not trying to figure out what the problem is, then you're using the medication to cope with it, and it'll return, right? So it's important that you try to get to the root of the problem, and not so much focus on, you know, like if I just take this medicine, it's gonna make me feel, it's gonna make me sleep, or you know, it's gonna make me be able to function, right? Any daily activities. So you need to figure out what is distracting me, why am I distracted, and those type of things. So when you ask the question, it depends on the case, like Jocelyn says, but it also really both could be good, or sometimes people don't need medication, they just need to have a therapy.
Right.
Right.
What you think, just?
Yeah, just like what she said, it really depends on what your situation is.
Okay.
Like, if you, and also like how severe it is too, because you could be like having real bad thoughts about something like this is not really normal. Then you should probably go take medication for that, like pills or something like that. But if it's like sort of, I wouldn't say small because it's like demeaning, but if it's something not as critical, then it would be like you just really need to take care of yourself more. That's what you gotta do.
I was wondering, like, because I know men and women, they handle things differently as far as when it comes to mental health. Is there, like, any factual as to, like, how, like, what is the rates for, like, men and women? Like, what's the difference to that? Because I noticed, like, a lot of my male friends, they'll just hold on to stuff longer than a woman will. And I just be like, well, you just need to talk to somebody, and then they be like, well, what's that gonna do? So what would you say is like the difference between men and women with that?
So I don't have statistics right now, but there's definitely a difference in men and women in mental health, right? So it is more, it is increased number with women in mental health, right? Because we are emotional beings. We are more emotional than men are. But it's definitely an increased number in that case. And men are able to express their emotions different than we are, right? But we'll say, you hurt my feelings. They'll just say, I'm mad about something. Right. And then the way we handle things are totally different.
Absolutely.
So women, we're gonna cry. Men are gonna punch something, right? Or they just go, so it's kind of like what they view as cry. We cry. They think like, oh, you're a crybaby. You just cry all the time. That kind of thing. You're so sensitive. Those type of words. Where men can just be like, I'm angry.
Right.
And that's acceptable, right? And it's acceptable because that's like the way society has made it.
Yeah.
That is acceptable. So if a man cries, then it's like, oh my God, you is weak.
Right.
Right? Like, what are you sitting up here crying for?
Right.
Right? And so you guys tend to inwardly turn it inside, and that's why it becomes anger.
Yes.
But the root of it all is we are hurting. Anger is usually secondary, and even when we're crying, that's emotional issues is secondary. So what happens is that we feel like if we express how we feel, and that's why sometimes women they get this thing like, I don't let nothing bother me. I don't need to cry no more. I don't that kind of thing. This shield, this guard, right? Because it makes you feel like you're weak, and that's something that we've heard from being a child. Just a boy and a girl fall, the same thing. Both of them like a scratch. And the little girl can cry, but the little boy shouldn't cry. You should just wipe it off, and it's not. And it's the same kind of scratch, same age, everything. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to make my son weak. And it's okay for the girl to be weak because she a girl. Right. But it's really both of them need to be nurtured at the end of the day. Absolutely. And like Justin, have you ever experienced for yourself, like when we're talking about men, difference between men and women, like crying and that kind of thing? Did you ever feel like if I cried, I would be weak?
Oh, plenty of times.
So what would you do instead?
So usually I would do is I would just kind of like, and it's not healthy, but what I used to do was I would just keep it in, but so I had to look for an outlet for all that. So I like picked up a couple hobbies, like drawing and making music or anything like that, playing a game or something, just to get my mind off of it. But there's many ways to deal with that sort of thing.
So you do feel like holding it in is better because of who you're around?
Not
or is it that for yourself?
Just for myself.
Okay.
But again, it really depends on the situation.
Yeah, so I found a statistic right here. So for males, it's like 37.4%, and for females, it's 51.2%. And this is, it's a little ways, 51 to 37, it's a little ways, but that's what I'm saying. So it is more prone with women than it is with, men. And then you start breaking down the race, right? White, black, Asian, and those type of things. So then the numbers can differentiate in that area as well. But really overall, the reason why I think it's more prone for women and why the numbers are like that is because more women will seek help. So then we can get the numbers. Less men will.
Right.
So that's why the numbers are that can far off. But so I guess like have you guys ever, when we talk about just mental health, like what are some things that you feel like is important? Why is it important to focus on your mental health?
Because I think it's so important to focus on your mental health because if you let them negative thoughts cloud your mind, bad things can happen to yourself. Not only to yourself, your mind. You can warn yourself ragged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of bad stuff can happen. It can lead to like self-hate,
Yeah.
self-harming,
Yeah.
potentially suicide,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and it's not good at all.
I think it's important to have a good mental health, just so you can be more productive in society. Like, if you are in a negative way of thinking, like you will be trapped in a house somewhere, not living your full potential. And I feel like that's the big goal. Like, you want to live life to your fullest potential, and you can't do that if you have so many things caught in your head to the point where you just want to stay in and not do anything.
I had this pandemic. It taught me a lot about myself because I was getting like that.
Yeah.
I was getting like, oh, it's the COVID-19. I might as well stay in the house. Can't go no.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do. Didn't have work, so everything was just rushing to me. Didn't know what to do. I was getting confused. I'm like, bored, sleeping all day. Didn't want to talk to nobody. I was just in my head. But once I took the time and read some things, self-help books, also prayer helped me a lot. So prayer, read my word, that helps. And, letting go, meditating help. Like,
It does.
morning and night, I make sure I meditate just to get my atmosphere just, clear and cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like exactly what all of you guys are saying is like it's important. When you're working on your mental health, it is important for it to be energetic, active, right? Like you're saying, just laying down, just not doing anything. Also, it helps you cope with your struggles in life, right? Understanding, why I'm having these issues, so I'm gonna keep repeating them. Also, like it's good for your health, for healthy relationships, right? We just kind of when we think about when we say like relationships, it's kind of just like who I'm in a relationship with, but everybody you encounter with is a ship, right? You at work, you at church, you at school, you at your family. So all those are relationships, and to build healthy relationships, you have to have a good mental health, right? So that has to be healthy as well. And then it helps you to be free from mental illnesses, right? Because what happens, like how you said, you start to just sit in it. And when you start to sit in it, it starts to increase. And then it causes symptoms. And then you will become depressed. And you will have anxiety and those types of things. So, working on that prior to it happening, right? That's why it's important to do that. Let's talk about some symptoms. When we say like mental health symptoms, what y'all think about that? I mean, like if I say, what's the symptom of just, having they just, I don't know, if you just say stomach issues, and you might be like, I go to the bathroom, I throw up, that kind of thing. So what's some symptoms of mental illness?
Isolation.
That's one of the big ones for real.
I'm telling you, because that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
People like, come on. My friends like, oh, next time.
Yeah.
The COVID outside.
Oh, that's what I did. It's COVID.
I would say isolation, and then it starts to lead to not taking care of yourself, like not getting out the bed, don't want to eat, don't want to have in-person
Interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it could be like he said, you don't want to bathe, you don't want to do the little things. Like, those are some of the symptoms. It can even get to as serious as harming yourself. I've went to school with a few people who have, they cut themselves, a few other things, but I know like that's probably like a big thing.
Yeah, I've had some friends in school who used to do
Yeah.
They cut themselves, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never personally encountered that. Always seeing stuff. This one in school, I used to take people in getting bullied. Like, you're gonna be my friend. I'll protect you for the rest of the school year. So you ain't gotta worry. You can switch lockers so you can be by me. So that's how it was for me. Yeah.
But yeah, that's why you like feeling down, feeling sad, extreme worry, extreme lack of energy, guilt. Like, what about guilt? Feeling guilty.
Yeah.
So any of that, feeling extreme worries, feeling extreme guilt, those are all things that will cause depression and anxiety, all symptoms that you need to look out for when you're feeling like that. And then really reaching out to someone to talk to some people, talk to a therapist, talk to a friend first or whoever, but you really need to let people know when you start to feel down like that. Like you're saying, that some people, it is hard for them to get up and bathe. It is hard for them to comb their hair. It is, and so small challenges like that I'll give like clients, like, tomorrow, just comb your hair. They're like, that's my homework. That's all. Comb your hair. Because I know it's a challenge for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's very hard for you to do that. And then, tell me how you felt afterwards. Usually make you feel better. You take a shower, it makes you feel refreshed. And it does make you be like, okay, even if it's for 5 minutes, it's like, okay, I want to do something right now. So what can I do in these next 5 minutes? Because after that, then you might get back to that same old feeling. But if you accomplish something in that moment, it will help you to be able to move forward. Right, the next time. So that's the goal, to when you are starting to feel that way, then to push yourself to do something, right? Like if it's 5 minutes or something, 10 minutes or something. Or like I said, it's as simple as comb your hair, simple as brush your teeth, those type of things. But people just take that for granted, like, oh, I brush my teeth every day, or I wash up every day. Well, some people don't do it.
And it's okay to seek help.
Yeah.
And it's okay to talk to people. I just want everybody know it's okay to get help. It's okay to talk to people, because a lot of people, even when they see this, it might be, oh, they talking about all this. Okay. It's okay if you can seek help, reach out and talk to somebody, a friend, sister. Write it down. And if you want to go throw it in the garbage, do that. Just get that off your chest.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. What are some things people with mental health can do at home to help themselves?
So yeah, so it's like one of the things I was just saying, like when you feel that you are having a hard time, like I said, if you're feeling sad more days than not, if you're, like a lack of energy, those types of things, what you can do at home, like you said, self-help books work, reading, prayer, meditation, sometimes exercising, those things definitely help to be able to motivate you, to stimulate the brain, right, in order for you to do something. So those are things that I could say that you can do at home. Those are things that you should probably do daily, right? I listen to something daily for inspiration, because I need it before I even talk to my clients. So those are things that you can do daily in order to maintain your mental stability.
What you think?
I agree with her. For me, I would say like do what you're passionate about, because that helped me. Like, I really love music, I love dancing, so I feel like that helped me like get over the stuff that I was having to deal with. So do something you're passionate about that's gonna take your mind off for the time being.
I would say, it sounds kind of brash, but get a hobby.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Get a hobby.
It works.
Like, there's everyone in this world, they're good at least one thing.
Yes.
And it's your job to find that one thing. And, I mean, don't get addicted to doing that one thing.
Right.
Still, like, it give you something to do besides, disliking yourself, because that's not really going to help you.
That's true. God gave us all gifts and talents. So.
Even if it's like doing a puzzle every day,
Yeah.
keep your brain working.
Really quick, I wanted to say something before we get off. You brought up suicide. I want to talk about that just really quick. I just want to give us some numbers in regards to that, because when we talk about mental health, we cannot talk about mental health without talking about suicide rates, right? Because people are not getting help. Suicide is the second cause of death, right, in the U.S. Because we are not getting help, and it's really amongst the ages of 10, which is very young, to like 34, right? Also in adults, it's like 4.9%. And like I said, with the highest rate is with the young adults.
What about the guys?
So it doesn't break it down male to female, but it does, like high school students, it's 18%.
Okay.
Then we have the LGBTQ, they're the youth is like 42%. And then the adults with the transgender and that type of thing is 52%. So when we talk about mental health and we talk about the suicide rate, it is definitely a thing. So when people are having suicidal ideation, means they're having thoughts of doing it, right? Some people just be like, oh girl, that's you want to kill yourself because you did because of this, because of that. It's really serious, right?
Yeah.
And we need to just really at that, if somebody ever comes to you and says that, then you really need to ask questions like, is it something that you think about often? How often have you think about it? Do you have a plan? So those types of things. I do want to give out the Suicidal Hotline number. It is on 1-800-273-TALK.
Yes.
So if you know anybody, you feeling suicidal, to use the number and to call it. And then definitely just be aware, of your situation, so that you won't get caught up in thinking that you're the only one, because most of us think that we're the only, we're the only one going through that. So I just kind of wanted to, point those things out. And those numbers are coming from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
I wanted to bring up, like around when COVID-19 started, was it 2020? Like early 2020? And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people were like really happy they graduated before 2020 happened. So like going through like the whole year 2020, I was just wondering like I wonder how it feels to go to school through this pandemic, and how I would feel going through this.
I think that's a good question. I think that you put that question out there, Jocelyn did give the email address, because there may be some people that had experience that can really give us some good contact. Not good contact, but good, information in regards to what they were feeling and what they were going through.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, for me, like I noticed, like when I had my big issues with mental health was like right after I lost my sister. So I know like grief is something that also tends to lead a lot of people to mental health issues and mental health symptoms. What would you suggest would be like the starting point for somebody who may have just lost somebody, or who is in the thick of their grief and trying to figure out a way to combat the feelings or combat the way that they feel at that moment?
I would say definitely know it's okay not to be okay. Really. I think that we all feel like we have to be okay. Are you okay? I'm fine.
Right.
Somebody just passed like, how you doing? I'm good. I mean, taking it one day at a time, but I'm good. It's just like today I'm not good.
Right.
It's okay to be not okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first step in when we're talking, acknowledging right how you feel. You got to acknowledge your feelings. Also, don't use things to cope with it, right? So that's where we get into substance abuse.
Right.
That we use drinking, gambling, smoking, sex, all those types of things to cope with how you're feeling, but really to sit with yourself and feel how you feel, right? So when you are grieving, the most important thing is to be okay with that. And then even not just grief, right? Like when we're saying how I'm feeling in general.
Right.
When you are feeling that way, you need to not use something that helps you to cope with it, but really to sit down with yourself and acknowledge it, right? So that you don't get to a place where you are depending on something, right? Then it becomes an addiction.
Right.
So now you got a mental illness going on, and you have now a substance abuse that's going with it. And so that's really what happens to most people in general, because they use it to cope with it. So Just saying that in general, it's to be okay without being okay.
Right.
Yeah. That's very good information. Cause I know like when you're going through it, like you know it's okay, like to not be alright, but you don't wanna. I don't know. I guess for me, I didn't want to get past it. I was so stuck on it that I didn't want to get past it in a way where I was like, all right, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna feel better. So that was like a big thing for me for sure, definitely. But I know as believers, like we kind of, I'm not gonna say we have an advantage, but we do have a different way of thinking. So as believers, like what is a way, because I know a lot of us just be like, okay, we got God, we're going to pray about it, we're going to deal with it. But outside of that, like, what else can we do to, like, just reassure ourselves, like, we got it, you know?
Acknowledging really what you're saying, like, when we know that, like you said, as believers, we know that God can help, right?
Right.
Heal, right? But also, it's just like God has placed anybody else, any physicians on, here is also mental health professionals, right? So when you feel like you don't have it, and that's the thing about acknowledging that I don't have it, then I need to seek mental health, right? But prayer is always an excellent resource, motivational speakers and sermons, those type of things are definitely helpful, right? And sometimes it just doesn't help, just like when we was talking about medication, it doesn't help everybody, so we have to find out what that niche is for you so that you can be able to get past it. But it's just important that you do something rather than do nothing.
Absolutely.
And so that's the most important thing.
So, I want to ask you, Jocelyn. Are there any type of physical things you can do to support your mental health? Do you know what they are?
I think we kind of touch base on that as far as like going to exercise. We say get a hobby, like go for a walk, go get some food, go take yourself on a self-care day. Like,
I'm telling
get your
you,
nails
that
done, get your hair done, do something like to make yourself feel good. I feel like that you gotta treat yourself. I feel like we work too hard not to treat ourselves.
Okay, that's the best thing I look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat of a loner. I'm still am. Like, I like hanging around people. I love it, but sometimes I wouldn't be alone
Me too.
in my little space. So I know if I'm excited to read this book or just to polish my nails. It's the little things: polish my nails, read a new book, or do some research or something. You know, right now I'm like doing a lot of stuff. So yes.
I feel like this is such a great conversation, guys. I thank all of you for coming out today to have this discussion about mental health awareness. I just want everybody to give their name for this segment so that people can know who you are. We'll start with you.
My name is Justin.
Okay.
My name is Alexis Pitts.
I'm Dr. Monique Tucker.
And once again, I'm Jocelyn, and this has been The Royalty. We thank you so much for tuning in on today. Catch us on the fourth Friday of this month so that you can see what we have going forth. Stay tuned. Hey, I just want to thank you guys again for joining us here on The Royalty. We had such a great time discussing this month's topic of mental health awareness. I just want you guys to send in any suggestions, any questions, or if you want to be a guest here on The Royalty, just send us an email here at the email below. Also, if you have anything that you want to discuss and you want to hit up the hotline number that we gave during the segment, please call the number below as well. We thank you so much. See you next time.